What if I told you a part of you enjoys being sad? Not the crime, not the breakdowns, but that quiet, heavy feeling you curl up inside, like a room you keep returning to, even when the door is wide open. You've done it. Late at night, Spotify sad playlist on, old messages open. Not because you're stuck, because some part of you chose to go there. And here's what nobody tells you. Psychologists have studied people exactly like this. This pattern shows up again and again in psychological studies. And what they found doesn't just explain the behavior, it exposes why you do it, at a level most people never reach about themselves. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which type you are. And no, this doesn't mean you're broken. But it does mean something deeper is happening inside you. Something worth understanding. If that hit a little close to home, good. Because you're not dramatic. You're not weak. There is a real, documented psychological reason why certain people are drawn to sadness. Like it's a place they actually belong. Welcome to Psychology Explained, where we uncover the hidden patterns behind the way you think, feel, and behave. Patterns most people carry their entire lives without ever once understanding them, until now. Picture this. It's past midnight. The house is completely quiet, and instead of sleeping, you open something that hurts. A song, a conversation, a memory you've already replayed 100 times. Nobody made you. You just went there. Here's why that happens. Your brain is obsessed with patterns, specifically familiar ones. And if you grew up in an environment where tension, emotional distance, or sadness was constant, your nervous system did something quietly powerful. It made sadness feel safe, and that changes everything. Psychologists call this emotional baseline conditioning. Your brain learns what normal feels like based on your earliest emotional experiences. If sadness was always present, it didn't register as pain, it registered as home. In simple terms, your brain got so used to sadness, it started treating it like calm. So when life is actually going well, something feels wrong, off balance, too quiet. And without realizing it, you reach for the sadness just to feel level again. This connects directly to psychological homeostasis, your mind's drive to return to its emotional set point, like a thermostat. Except instead of temperature, it's regulating pain. And if you've ever felt weirdly uncomfortable during happy moments, like you were waiting for something bad to happen, that's this. Exactly this. Your internal thermostat pulling you back down. This isn't weakness. It's not self-destruction. It's not even emotion anymore. It's conditioning. Your brain protected you once by making sadness manageable. It just never got the message that you don't need that protection anymore. You're not choosing sadness because you're broken. You're choosing it because your brain was trained, quietly, deeply trained, to treat it as neutral ground. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. For some people, sadness isn't just a feeling they return to. It becomes a personality. Think about this honestly. Have you ever told someone about something painful and felt just slightly more interesting while telling it? Like your suffering made you deeper, more complex, more worth knowing? If you've ever done that, you're already part of this group. And you're in good company, because this is one of the most human things that exists. Psychologists call this narrative identity theory. We build our sense of self through the stories we tell about our lives. And if your most vivid, most detailed story is a painful one, that pain slowly stops being something that happened to you. It becomes you. In simple terms, your sadness becomes your most interesting chapter. And the brain, naturally, protects its best material, so it romanticizes the pain, makes it feel meaningful, cinematic, beautiful even, worth keeping. There's even a parallel in the animal world. Elephants return to the bones of their dead, sometimes for years. Scientists believe they're not stuck, they're processing, holding on to identity through grief. Humans do the exact same thing emotionally. We return to our wounds, not always to heal, but to remember who we are. And here's the line that might sting a little. Remove the sadness and suddenly, who are you? That question is terrifying, so your brain never lets you ask it. It just quietly holds on to the sadness, dressed up as depth, as sensitivity, as soul. Getting better starts to feel like losing yourself. And so, without ever deciding to, you hold on. You might not be afraid of sadness. You might be afraid of who you are without it. And if this is starting to feel a little too accurate, just wait. Now here's the part that genuinely surprised researchers. Because everything we've talked about so far, the conditioning, the identity, it all makes psychological sense. But this next part goes even deeper. This is where science starts to sound almost poetic. Your brain has a chemical called dopamine. Most people think dopamine is about pleasure, but that's not quite right. Dopamine is actually about anticipation, about longing, about the feeling of reaching for something just out of grasp. And here's what's fascinating. Sadness activates that same system. When you sit with a painful memory or a heartbreaking song, your brain isn't just suffering. It's engaged. It's searching. And that searching feeling, that deep, aching reach, releases a quiet trickle of dopamine. Not enough to make you happy, but just enough to make you want to stay there. Scientists call this the neuroscience of sweet sadness. And yes, that's a real term researchers actually use, because the brain doesn't experience all sadness as pure pain. Some sadness feels strangely good, warm even. Like pressing on a bruise, it hurts, but something about it feels satisfying in a way you can't quite explain. And the reason is simple. That sadness is telling your brain a story. A rich, detailed, emotionally loaded story. And your brain loves a good story more than it loves comfort. This connects to one of the most interesting psychological concepts you've probably never heard of: benign masochism. It was studied extensively by psychologist Paul Rosen, and what he found was stunning. Humans are the only creatures on Earth who deliberately seek out negative experiences for the pleasure of surviving them. Scary movies, sad songs, spicy food, heartbreak playlists at midnight. We do this because the brain experiences a quiet rush when it feels something intense and then realizes it's safe. It survived. And that contrast, pain followed by safety, registers as deeply satisfying. In simple terms, you feel sad, you survive the sadness, and your brain quietly rewards you for it. So you go back, again and again. Not because you're broken, because you're human. And your brain found a loophole in your own emotional system. Now think about the last time a sad song genuinely helped you, not made things worse, but actually made you feel held, understood, less alone. There's a psychological reason for that too. When you listen to sad music, your brain releases a hormone called prolactin. Normally, prolactin is released during moments of bonding, between a mother and child, between close friends in a moment of vulnerability. It's a comfort chemical, a closeness chemical. So when a sad song plays and you feel that strange warmth in your chest, that's not weakness. That's your brain treating the music like a companion, like someone who finally understands. The song becomes a relationship. The sadness becomes connection. And for people who struggle to find that connection in real life, sad music becomes one of the safest places they know. And here's where everything ties together. The conditioning from your past, the identity you built around your pain, the dopamine loop, the benign masochism, the prolactin comfort. None of these things happen to you randomly. They built on each other, quietly, over years, into a system. A pattern so familiar you stopped seeing it as a pattern. You just called it your personality. You just called it being sensitive. You just called it the way you are. But now you know. And knowing changes things. Not overnight, not dramatically, but in that small, quiet way where you catch yourself reaching for the sadness. And this time, you pause. And you ask, is this me? Or is this just what I was trained to reach for? That one question, asked honestly, is the beginning of something different. Remember the question from the beginning? The one that made you pause, even just for a second? What if a part of you enjoys being sad? You didn't click away. You stayed. And maybe that itself is the answer. You don't have to give up your depth. You don't have to become someone who feels less. The goal was never to remove the sadness. The goal is to make sure you're the one choosing it, not the other way around. 1 second silence. So here's what I want you to do right now. In the comments, tell me one word. Just one word that describes how this video made you feel. Not what you think. Not an explanation. Just the feeling. One word. because I have a feeling the comments section is about to become one of the most honest places on the internet today. And if this video made you feel seen in a way you didn't expect, share it with someone who needs to hear this, quietly, without explanation. Just send it, they'll know why. Subscribe to Psychology Explained, not because we tell you what to think, but because we help you understand what you already feel. And there's a difference, a big one. Now the next video, it's about something most people experience but almost nobody talks about. The psychology of people who feel emotions more intensely than everyone around them. Scientists have a name for it, and once you hear it, you'll never describe yourself the same way again. That video drops soon, and trust me, if this one felt close to home, that one is going to feel like it was written about you. Whisper. And maybe this was the first time you saw it clearly.